Misfits 21 just got announced, and well, I'm going to give you guys my thoughts on the whole card, fight by fight, and give you guys my reaction. And I'll rate it out of 10 by the end of this video. But before we get into it, if you guys can, please hit the subscribe button, as the goal for my YouTube channel is to get to 10,000 subs. Anyways, let's get into it. I'm going to group this into, Misfits Pro to start off this card, just to, not spend too much time on this and give you guys my thought. It says that Amir Anderson's returning, Demi Sims is making her debut, and Joe Laws will be going as Harley Benn for the Misfits Pro super welterweight, or no, super middleweight title. And this is my thing with this, right? I'm not really familiar with Joe Laws or Harley Benn. I'm not gonna really hate it though, just because I don't want to be ignorant to the fact that you know maybe it'll be a boring fight, maybe not. I'm not sure, right? The only issue I have with this, just off of the announcements, I don't really like how they say, "Oh, Amir Anderson debut went back in Misfits 16," because it's like, well, what is the selling point here? You know what I mean? It's like, what are you catering to? It's like, I wish that they could just say the opponent, unless they're trying to find an opponent. Then fair enough, I guess. But I just don't like the debut or the return of Amir Anderson, the debut of Demi Sims, just stuff like that. It's kind of like, uh, what are we selling here? It'd be one thing if it's an influencer being like, oh, making his return, and to get an opponent, within like a few weeks. It just depends. I don't know. Like it has to be it has to be a big name to make it make sense to do that. Otherwise, it's like they're who really gives a shit at the end of the day, outside of maybe the Misfits hardcore fans. But that's my personal thoughts on how they marketed those two fights. But other than that, it's like they're returning. I had Amir Anderson back in Misfits 16, interviewed in both during the fight week and the post fight interview. And I'm excited to see what Amir Anderson does coming up in March. Just as a fan itself, just because I've been kind of following his first couple fights, and man, I think two stoppages, two wins. We'll see if you get the third stoppage going along with his third win as well. All right, next fight on the card: Argentinian King Spall Spartan J. I truly think this could be a good fight depending on how it is ranked on the fight card. If they're gonna go, one by one, Misfits Pro, and then they go next, Paul Spartan J, Argentine King, influencer fight, then pro fight, then influencer fight, then I actually do not mind it where it's placed at all. It's a solid fight. It's a decent fight. Um, I just I don't think it should be really too high ranked in the pay-per-view card per se. But I feel like if it's in the early fights, I actually think it's a solid early fight to have to start off the card. Again, is it something that you know I'm really shocked and really excited that Misfits made this fight? Not exactly for a pay-per-view card, not really, not exactly, but just looking at these two going against each other, is it a decent fight? Is it it could be a good fight to happen on the night? Yes. And I believe in terms of, promo, because that's the question within, Misfits boxing, right? They both talk their shit, and it's gonna go down to, oh, they're gonna have their highlights in the press conference, and them going back and forth. You'll see their tweets on Twitter, and they'll do their interviews. I think that's like the most of the promo we'll get out of those two, personally. But yeah, you know what? It's not a bad fight. It's not a bad fight, but it's not something where I'm I'm going to tell other friends about, like, hey, you got to watch this fight out of, all the other fights that have been announced. But yeah, you know what? It's a decent filler fight for this card. And the next one, let's talk about the next one right here, right? Chase to more Roman Fury. Honestly, I'm kind of shocked that this fight happened. It's a test for Chase Demore for sure, just because Roman Fury, and his, he's coming out of a prestige family of the Furies, and Chase Demore, there has been still the same questions, arguably, within his past fights of throwing the arm punches, and you know alongside of that, just a little bit of interesting stuff like on that aspect. But I feel like he's with Gary, and I feel like with Gary Olive, very solid coach. He I'm not going to count off Chase, but I do think the favorite in this fight is Roman Fury. And as an early prediction, things can still change leading up to fight week and fight night. I'm gonna say Roman Fury is gonna win it, just because I feel like he's been more around the boxing pedigree within his whole life, just compared to Chase Moore. And I feel like there has to be significant change for Chase Moore for me to change my mind and pick him over Roman Fury. In terms of the storyline in this fight, Chase Moore has been calling out Roman Fury for years, and it's paid off. He finally gets the fight that he wants, and I feel like Roman Fury is kind of pissed off that this guy keeps calling him out, and he's going to shut him up. In terms of that aspect, I feel like that's how I think about Roman Fury heading into this fight. Next one though, this one I'm actually decently excited for. Fox the G will lead Sharks. This fight was supposed to happen 2 times now. This was supposed to happen in Qatar, Misfits 19. This was happen last in Misfits 20. I believe both fights Waleed Sharks pulled out of. I could be wrong about that. Hear me out on this prediction here. A lot of people are going to be shocked about who I'm going to pick in this fight. I believe Fox is going to win, and I think he's going to win by knockout. I truly think so. I think, Waleed Sharks, just the way that I hear him in the space, I feel like he's overlooking, Fox G. And, I'll say this, Fox G, he's really been in the lab for a while now. And, Waleed's last fight on IFN, he went against I believe he went against a pro fight. He had a pro fight. I was not impressed. I was really not impressed with Waleed's, fight against her. He didn't really look great. And the opponent didn't even really look great either. Sure, he got a first round stoppage, but it looks sloppy. And I feel like if he fights Fox like that, it's not going to end well for Elite Sharks personally. So yeah, I'm going to say Fox and G. Early. Um, either I believe either the third round. I'm going to say third round stoppage for Fox and G. First couple rounds, just kind of get going with the flow. And if it's there, he'll if it's there, he's gonna go for that knockout. Fair enough, right? He has to go with the flow within this fight. Yeah, man. That's what I think about Fox Jubilee Sharks. It's a solid fight. And then the last two, Darren Till, Darren Stewart. I think the objective of this fight is just to get Darren Till to fight for Misfits. Get those, in person tickets at Manchester. He had a lot of fans last time in Manchester back in Misfits 20. And then KSI Dennis, I haven't really shared my thoughts about this one. It's a decent fight. I get what they're trying to do. It's a Dylan is a big in terms of social media, talks a lot of shit. Just wants someone to kind of, I guess, talk shit to KSI. Has he been doing a good job with it on Twitter recently? No, I really haven't seen much of Dylan Dennis' tweets going back and forth with KSI. But it is what it is. Overall, the card, what do I rate it out of 10? It gives me Mrs. 7 vibes. The company's been here for 2.5 years. I expect it to be a little bit better. I give it a 6.5 out of 10 in terms of um my expectations of what the card would have been versus the reality. I'll give it a 6.5. Let me know what you guys think in the comments of my reaction to this card. And if you guys can too, just like this video and let me know what you guys think truly. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.